right, man, I'm super excited everybody's here. I got to get my bag of goodies. We got a lot of people here today. For you guys that weren't here last week, if you like asked a question or you just got involved, we gave stuff away. So at the end of this today, we're going to give a reel away, have a little fun casting competition. I thought we might kind of do it every practice. But first of all, let's hear about everybody's week. Any deer shot, big fish caught, something good. Yes, sir.
We went to the Chimps auction.
Yeah.
3 geese.
Geese? Like live ones?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Went to 10 killer this weekend for Saturday.
Yeah.
4th Rainbow.
Really? So what was it 10 killer Saturday?
There's jackpots every Saturday.
So they had a jackpot down on 10 killer yesterday. Him and Bo Barrett got 4th place. How many pounds did you have? 14. How'd you guys catch them? You gotta tell us, I mean, huh? Fluke, so they must have been up shallow. What was the water temp? You don't know? You gotta know that stuff. Well, good job though. Here's some braid right here from K9. I don't wanna hit nobody. Good catch. Yes, sir.
Well, I didn't catch it, but I had it on the line. I went down to the bridge, Wing on Bridge. I had about this big of a bass on.
Mikey had this big of a bass on down at Winging On Bridge. That sounds like my kind of fish story, buddy. Here's some jigs. Coach Salt, you start us off. If you were to go fish Lake Oologah this time of year, and Lake Oologah let's define as a lowland reservoir. In the state of Oklahoma, we have kind of like lowland reservoirs, we have highland reservoirs, and the difference between the two is how flat or how deep they are.
Okay guys, so first thing all the time, probably gonna be the time of year is where you're gonna consider where you would fish, and water temperature. 2 times a year are pretty big time. This is one of those times now. In the fall, your water temperature is gonna be something that you wanna try to know and look at it in different areas of the lake. I, here at Oologah, would probably go start on a secondary point in a creek or in a cove halfway back with wind blowing on it.
Coach, I'm just curious, what is a secondary point?
Okay guys, so you got a main lake point, and then you've got points that go inside cuts or inside creeks. So a main lake point is a main lake. It's out on the main lake, and you can see it from the main river channel or the big body of water, okay? A secondary is when you start to go in a cove or you go in a creek, and it's the next point that you come to, and you could have 2 or 3 or 10 secondary points. You're looking for these secondary points, wind blown. I like rock on mine. It just depends on whether the fish are biting on big rocks or little rocks, but chunk rock, which is a little bigger than a baseball, we'll call that chunk rock. A little bigger than a softball. Those are pretty good banks right now. And you're looking for shad, okay? You're looking for bait fish. Where the bait fish are, that's where the bass are gonna be.
Oh, Coach Salt, just how do we look for shad? I'm curious, how do we look for shad?
Probably your best way would be electronics. However, this time of year, your bait are gonna be shallow, and if you'll pay attention when we're talking about being able to flip and pay attention to what's going on, you'll be able to look around, you'll see shad flipping around, and you'll see water kind of boil looking, or you'll see the surface move a bunch. That's shad there, that's shad, and a lot of times you'll see where those bass will run up, and this time of year, even on Oologah, they'll school a little bit. I think, Logan, where you guys were, those fish school a bunch there, and especially this time of year. So
can I touch on that?
Yeah.
That's a great thing. You know, like when you go in those pockets and you see those shad. Another thing like that I always look for is birds, because birds are eating on shad too. And if I'm running down a lake, and you've been running down that lake, and then all of a sudden you see 4 birds on that point, or you see 3 birds in the back of a pocket, or you see them standing on a dock, that's a great place to start, because they're eating the same thing those bass are eating. Keep going, Coach.
So speaking of a dock, so at Oologah, it has docks, but you're not supposed to fish them. But so at Oologah, you don't have docks. So I would be looking for lay down on or to the side of one of these points or in the very back of a cut. Okay, and a cut would be a point will come out and then the bank will go around and before it goes just flat down the bank, it'll make a bowl looking kind of an indention or a dent in it. That's called a cut. But you're looking for some type of cover. A day like today, it's bright, sunshiny, so fish are going to be close to cover. Or if you can find some docks, they're going to be on the shady side of a dock. First dock in, shad in the shade. You got to remember, you're trying to put together the puzzle of where these fish are at. What you're saying, you can throw the wrong bait in the right place and still catch them, but the important thing is to be in the right place.
What separates the really good anglers from the mediocre anglers is finding fish, finding where they're at, figuring out what it takes to trigger them to bite. And that's what we want to really teach you guys. So when you go out on some of these tournaments, you go fishing here on your local lake, think about where you got that bite. He mentioned rocks. When you get a bite, analyze everything where that fish came from. Analyze how deep your bait was, how close he was to the bank, what size rocks, was there wind blowing in, was there shade, you know, what was a watercolor. All those things, like the list goes on and on and on to analyze that bite. All right, I want to start you guys practice casting, okay? We're going to have a little competition at the end of practice today. Is it going to be a flipping or pitching contest? I'd say pitching because of the distance.
Mr. Evers, when you come down here to get your reel, because you're the champion today, make sure you turn your pink jig in. Everybody give Mr. Evers a big hand. He whipped y'all's hind end today. All right, guys. If you would, make sure that you practice this week. Make sure that you clean up your trash today. And that's all I got for you. Good job today.